All right.
Cool.
It's going.
I have 3:31. I'm going to give people like just one or two more minutes to get on the call and do all their entering codes and whatnot. I love this though. This is much better than GoToMeeting. Thank you for setting up. All right, well, let's go ahead and start. For those who just got on the call, Juhi just contacted me and said that, well, not just, but earlier contacted me and mentioned that the snow day threw her off a little bit, so some things had to get rescheduled, so she is not able to take minutes, and so we'll just sort of, I guess, keep this informal. I'm not planning on taking minutes and trying to run a call at the same time. I'll skip the roll call because we can see here who's on the call. And looks like a few of you don't have cameras, but that's fine. I'm glad that you're here anyway. So let's, well, first of all, first things first, who got a snow day? Show of hands. You know, we had so much more snow than New York City got, and there was not even a thought of a snow day. So, I don't even know what to say. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so let's just launch right in. Gina and David have been really hard at work with Amy providing some guidance, a lot of guidance in terms of our strategic initiatives. And they have a lot to report. So I understand David will not be able to be on the call. Gina, would you report on your behalf, your co-chair's behalf and yours about what's going on with strategic initiatives, please?
Sure. Can everyone hear me? Am I good? Okay. Hi, everybody. And Amy, feel free to chime in. Amy joined us for the retreat day. We have been working to pull together 4 chairpersons for each item in the strategic plan. We had a retreat about, I guess, 3 weeks ago now. And it was just, we were together about 5 hours, I guess, and really spent time hashing out some of the things that we want to do to address each initiative over the next year. Some of the ideas were we talked also about how to assess what we're doing, so that will be planned for the future. We talked about meetings at the national conference, so that will be moving forward as well. We talked about each subcommittee coming up with a time frame of events and plans that they want to make. And at this point, we've now found a chairperson for each priority, and there are about 3 or 4 different volunteers working under each of those subgroups. So for our report at the board in San Antonio, we can update you on all those individuals and their contributions. They're still sort of growing together at this point. But some of the ideas that are out there are a webinar, again, for bringing your A game, also folding or really blowing up the entire Bring Your A Game idea into a social justice institute. And we're hopeful that we can put together some plans for that and really think that out. There's some research to do on that end, just in terms of when and how and resources necessary. We just welcomed Chris yesterday from Cooper Union, and he'll be leading the Emerging Trends group, and he loves the idea of podcasts and coming up with a way to put information online that can be a resource to our region. What we found is twice now we've tried to do something to help the region, and NASPA nationally has come up with the idea and been able to publicize it before we get it out there. So trying to come up with a bank of resources for our group. We also talked about building a toolkit. Ashley Carter talked about sort of a toolkit online of resources that could help our region with issues in all of these areas, whether it's best practice, current research, access to people or other materials. And then Joe Samarati is working on policy initiatives. He was sick and wasn't able to be at the retreat. But I thought it was a really productive, energizing day, a lot of neat ideas, brainstorming. And what I heard, and David heard, I know, was a real commitment to this project and a commitment to looking to engaging people in the region to connect and being able to sort of bring the ideas out there and make things happen. So it was really inspiring. It was exciting. Amy, do you have anything to add? Amy made the trip and joined us.
Yeah, it was really good. But and Krista called in, and Thea was
Thank you.
here as well as our assessment person. And the thing that I want David and Gina to kind of lead with this group is, how do we make sure that the initiatives all of you are leading are connected with the initiatives that our strategic initiatives co-chairs are leading, and they're not working in silos, but they're also not duplicating what you're already working on or creating, but they can enhance it. And Thea, I don't know if you have anything to add, because I know some of the measures we talked about don't really live within strategic initiatives. They live within all of our other areas.
But I think it's just going to take us some time to figure out what everybody is working on. And maybe that's something that I could just add as an additional action item for me, is see if I can create one grand document with all the, I guess, initiatives or programming that everybody on board is working on, to see if there's opportunities for collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah, if you accomplish that'd be great. It's something that we've talked about on and off for as long as I've been on the board. So, you know, that I think would be an admirable goal, Thea.
I'll try my best.
With regard to the strategic initiatives team, our goal is to develop by the national conference, because we've asked our committee chairs by March 1 to give us updates, to have a year-long calendar of the plans and a timeline. So Thea, I'll get that to you as soon as we have it, so that you can blend it with the other items you're looking at.
Perfect. I'll probably create some sort of live Google Doc so that everybody can add to the same piece and it can live update.
Okay, great. Other accomplishments, I think we formalized financial support for new professionals and grads to attend the conference, so that's exciting news. And there's funding, and I'm not sure where we are. I think I was the wrong Gina in an email chain, somewhere with putting some money towards transportation costs for attendance at the regional conference. So that's the work that we've been doing. David and I end up talking just about every week, sometimes every other week, depending on the time of the semester, and certainly keep up to date with Amy and the other committee members via email. If anyone has any ideas or things that you had hoped you would see or hear about, please feel free to share them. We're sort of creating this as we go, and it's exciting, but we also want to be as inclusive as possible.
Now, you two have done a great job really creating this this whole thing from scratch, and I really want to commend everybody on the board too, who started last December coming up with these strategic initiatives. It's really taken shape. It's exciting to see, and I'm glad that Amy's going to be starting her RD term with a really solid plan for a year, and then the opportunity to see what we do after that, and to kind of lead where our strategic initiatives sort of morph a year into her term. So congratulations. Gina, since you talked about this, maybe well, first of all, does anyone have any other questions for Gina about strategic initiatives, or Amy? Then we can segue to Carol for the 2017 update. I know you mentioned support for grads to get to the conference, which is really a nice joint collaboration between strategic initiatives and the conference. But, you know, it's pretty cool. So Carol, wherever you want to start, but if you could just talk about that as part of your report, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Is Val on the call?
Val is not. She just contacted me about, I think she has a class or something.
Okay, perfect. So we'll go ahead and start talking a little bit about the transportation fund. So there's $1,500, and new graduate students and undergraduate students will be the ones that would qualify for this funding. And we are in the process, if we have not done so already, updating our language on our website, and we're working with Danny in figuring out how to collect the receipts. He found a much simpler method than our original idea of creating a Google document. So we would be reimbursing students up to $50, and Will can talk a little bit about that as well. And I think ultimately we would like to do it after the conference just to ensure that they attended the conference. So we're really excited about that. Thank you to Gina and David for really jumping onto this idea. And for our other state representatives, originally, yes, we were thinking about organizing buses and purchasing mass tickets, but honestly, this is probably the easier of the method for the board as well as the committee in really trying to manage this logistically behind the scenes. And so students can purchase on their own, and then they just submit for reimbursement. We will make sure that it goes out in our reminder announcements, as well as it being updated on our website and being easily available on the registration page so that they see it. Any questions about that, please?
Carol, this is Kevin. You said up to $50?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Up to $50. So some other updates that I would like to share, one being that I've already shared this with Kathy, Will, and Amy, but University of Pittsburgh pulled through, and they will be the ones that will be sponsoring our photography and videography needs. So I'm really excited. It's an area that we get to save in a little bit, and they will be bringing their own team, and they'll be there to capture some of the most best moments of the conference. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the registration announcement that went live. Yes, I'm aware that there was some coding challenges with the email announcement that was sent out. It was brought to my attention by Deb, which was a little embarrassing, but we're working on it behind the scenes. Danny was also taking a look and seeing if there was something wrong with the system. But registration is live, so please go ahead and start registering. It's early bird rate. And I strongly encourage you that if you would like to stay at the Renaissance, we all know it's limited rooms that are reserved. You might want to go ahead and start making your hotel accommodations. And I've already confirmed rooms for both Amelia as well as Deb, and Danny's confirmed this as well. So we're covered with there. And Sophia and David reached out to our featured speakers and encouraged them to reserve their rooms as well. So doing the same for our board members. University of Pittsburgh also pulled through, and we will have campus housing, affordable housing for some of our new professionals, graduate students, and anybody who wants to really utilize it. We're waiting for just some logistical pieces so that we can actually put it on our website, and so that they can start registering through UPitt. So we're very excited about that. Any questions so far? Okay. Another thing that I was going to talk about was our program proposals. So as we all know, January 31st was the closing date. We received over 115 proposals, and we have 85 reviewers. And they've already been contacted, so people are probably already starting to review. So we're moving along. It's exciting. We're thinking about bringing some Pitt's University of Pitt as Carnegie Mellon and some PA schools, some of their mascots, to our evening function at the PNC. So things are moving along. We're really excited. Any questions?
Any questions, Carol?
Okay.
All right, nice. Yeah, Carol referred to Deb and Amelia. So Deb Moriarty is doing the NASPA national duty and coming in and providing the welcome and some remarks on behalf of NASPA. And Amelia Parnell, also from NASPA, will be coming in and working with the VPSA Institute, which is something that Kirk Manning has been working on. And, you know, he's got a really nice group of kind of programs set up for the vice presidents who choose to attend that. So, so that's exciting. Yeah, the conference is moving along really well. Thank you, Carol.
No problem. And Nathan just shared with me that we have 34 participants already registered for the conference. I am not one of them. I need to go and register myself.
I am. Anybody on the call registered?
I am.
Yay.
I'm slacking.
Okay, well then let's move to it's always unbelievable that we have to do this already, but the 2018 conference, we normally try to name our co-chairs, right about now to give them a good amount of time to get the ball rolling. And Amy, I know a little bit later in the call you're talking about board transitions, but why don't you go ahead now and tell us who the co-chairs are for 2018?
Sure. So we have two co-chairs for the 2018 conference. I hope I say his last name right, Felipe Hanoa and Zachary Harrell. Zach's at NYU, and Felipe, Carol, what institution? It's in New York, but.
Mercy is from Felipe. Yeah, Felipe at NYU for Zach.
Thank you. So they're very excited to get started and looking forward to this conversation we're about to have, or the results of this conversation we're about to have.
Yeah, both have a lot of conference experience, so that's great that we can get that moving. But what I want to talk about with everybody is just to revisit a decision that we've made as a board kind of early in my tenure as regional director, and that's we had talked about going to New York City every other year, and and then taking the off year. Just New York City has been great for us. It's been good financially. It's been good in terms of participation, and it seems to be a treat for the people who don't live in the city. And I'll raise my hand for that. And it's convenient for the people who do live in the city. It still allows us to kind of move around the region every other year. There was some confusion about, is it always going to be then expected that we have the same sponsors, the same partners? And, my answer to that is no, we're choosing a location. We're not necessarily choosing the partners that we are working with. We would not obligate them to any long-term relationship with Region 2. So, John Jay has been such a great partner. CUNY has been an amazing partner. Does this mean that we are for sure getting commitments, like they're going to be super eager to work with us again? We don't know that. But what I wanted to chat with you all about is to see, we decided, but a decision is it's not set in stone. So I want to revisit it with all of you. The pros to going to New York are that we, for the last 2 times we've been, have had record-breaking conferences, and just you cannot beat the culture and the diversity in New York. And there's lots of other pros. But another really huge pro is that because of our partnership with John Jay and with CUNY, we've been able to deliver a conference at a reasonable price for a very expensive city. Now, I know we might have outgrown John Jay. I think we probably came close last time to asking an awful lot of them, and they delivered with a smile, but I think we strained. Will, I don't know if you can speak for anybody at John Jay, but I think we kind of, we asked a lot of John Jay last time around, and if we were to grow larger, I'm not sure that they could accommodate us. Again, I have not had these conversations. That would be up to our new co-chairs and Amy to have them. But if we needed to go elsewhere, then what that means is we either have to look for a new partner, which is totally fine, or we need to pay a lot more to have it in a non-college or university venue. So it may not be a big revenue producer for us if we have to do that, because if we offset a really large attendance with huge costs for locations, we just need to understand that we would make that commitment and perhaps not realize the revenue. So kind of with all of that in mind, I still hope that we can get into the habit of just, as a region, committing to New York every other time. But this commitment that we made last time only lasts as long as, I'm here in this chair, and then it's up to all of you to decide if you still want to continue this. So for now, though, with Felipe and Zach wanting to move forward and start to talk about locations, what do you all feel about New York for 2018?
Kathy, I won't speak for Lynette and John Jay, other than to say, even if we did come back to John Jay, the financials would be a little different because we've recently created some external use space policies around cost and rental fees. But I really liked sort of the 3-year model that we ended up with New York, DC, and there was somewhere in between there, because it felt like to me what I thought was a good rhythm was New York, one of the other metropolitan areas in the region, and then sort of an other, for lack of better words, because I think there are still folks who like the small, intimate regional conference. So to me, that seemed like the best of both worlds of sort of getting around the region, a couple of urban spots, but also maybe a more resort-oriented experience.
So Will, you're proposing going to an every 3rd year in New York model?
Something like that, yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts about that?
This is Jody. I agree with Will. It's also nice for us to be able to see different parts of the region. And every 2 years feels pretty New York-y versus every 3, where you kind of grab. I would hate to lose momentum of people who are enjoying the conference because they've been there and done that.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I have more of a question. Can we talk a little bit, and you share with the board the financial? I mean, it sounds like this is very contingent on, one, finding a school that can help us out to even make New York City possible. But I know I heard it does help a lot to have such a well-attended conference. But we do have people contacting Kathy and myself from different cities that are interested in us coming. So I like the idea of 3, but I'm just curious of the financial impact.
So when we, and I saw Jeffrey on the call, so there's a lot of history in this region. Before the 2013 conference in New York City, there had been one ages ago that floundered, and I think the national office had to bail us out financially. So folks were really nervous about coming back to the city. And the way that we did it in 2013 was hosting the ed sessions at a campus that was extremely low cost. And I think in 2013, John Jay didn't pass along any of the costs that I recall, other than the catering and things like that. For the last conference, I think John Jay did have some direct labor costs. But if NASPA were to come back, my understanding is that there would be a rental fee associated. Now, it'll be reasonable because it would be considered a sort of John Jay partnership. And the rates for that aren't as bad as, say, and you have a Wonder Woman mug, and I'm really loving that right now. So it might not be too bad. I think the other campuses in New York City, in Manhattan at least, that come to mind as being able to accommodate the 600 folks that I think we got last time. Columbia has some large auditoriums and theater space. NYU has large auditoriums and theater space. City College has some larger space in Manhattan. And that might be the Graduate Center at CUNY, I think, has one large venue. So there's not a lot of campuses that can accommodate the numbers that we're talking about in Manhattan now, unless we considered some of the other hot spots in New York, like downtown Brooklyn, the Jersey City, Hoboken waterfront, those 2 hot spots anyway. So and then the other piece was not having a hotel guarantee. So we don't enter into a risky contract with a hotel for a certain number of rooms. We just say, here's where the conference is going to be, book your own rooms, and folks do hotels or Airbnb or couch surfing or whatever.
Okay. And for those of you who aren't looking at the chat, there's a few folks who are engaging on the chat with some interesting thoughts. I'm seeing somebody volunteering Thea to host, so.
Kathy?
Yeah.
just some history on the reason for the 2003 conference. The reason why NASPA had to bail us out is exactly what Will said. It was that we did arrangement with the hotel, and because everybody stayed with their friends in New York City and didn't stay at the hotel, we didn't make the guarantee and lost thousands of dollars because of it.
Yeah.
So that is,
Okay.
I think, been the key to our urban experience, and we did that in DC as well.
Okay. So there is some chatter going on about kind of the other hot spots that Will's talking about, like you know, Hoboken area, Jersey, Brooklyn. I think what I might do, well, first of all, does anyone have any other kind of last thoughts about this? What I think I might do is send out a kind of just a quick poll to everybody and ask you to get back to me as soon as possible, because we do want to give our 2 new co-chairs some marching orders. And I might just ask for a poll, and I'm thinking what it would be is either go back to New York City, which actually I'm here, I have not heard anyone besides me endorse that. So if you want to, you know, speak up, or look at a sort of New York City, peripheral to New York City, well, non-Manhattan site. That would be choice 2, and choice 3 would be to go to a completely different area, like, for example, like a DC or any other, you know, any other spot within the region. Does anyone want to endorse any of those options just for everyone to think about before I send out a vote for after the call?
I actually think that every third year in New York City provides us with that flexibility. And if I recall from Columbia, the reason we couldn't host it at Columbia was because the conference always fell on reunion weekend. So it was really hard to book up those spaces.
Okay.
One of the conversations that came up at our meeting was trying to engage new professionals and grad students in the conference, and cost and travel being prohibitive. And so the idea that they could use public transportation, stop in and out for a day, those were important themes. So I would endorse the city or a metropolitan area where people can use public transportation, get there, and maybe couch surf if they have to. That we spent a little bit of time around that, and that was really what supported some of the funding towards the bus option and the reimbursement, was the noticing that we had colleagues who could use some real support financially too to get to these events.
And if I recall, the key discussion both with New York City being either every second or third year was that and this had to do primarily with the transportation, was to keep the other conferences in an urban area with mass transit, because we found that the problem with the conference that was on the Jersey Shore near Atlantic City was that people couldn't get there because there wasn't a mass transit option to get directly there. And that's why those numbers were lower.
I mean, we sort of, you know, kind of along with this discussion, we also committed, you know, again, as much as we could commit to hosting it in an urban setting and not really going for the resorty, you know, Saratoga Springs, Lake Placid type of place. You know, our region, we just kind of committed to being urban. And yes, I am including places like Buffalo, you know, for those of you who might not consider a small city as a city. You know, I would say that that's still considered a city to a lot of folks. Okay, any other thoughts that people want to throw out there for all of us to consider?
I just say I think it's been a while since we were upstate, and it might be nice to think about an Albany area venue at some point.
Niagara Falls has reached out to Kathy a few times and now to me a few times, but Gina, the point about urban and the transportation is resonating for me, but I'm curious how many go or are attracted because of the area, and are there people who don't like cities that aren't coming because they don't want to?
Yeah, who knows, right?
But yeah.
I guess numbers dictate everything then.
We can do a quick poll of our membership to see what are the top 3 things that they consider when choosing whether or not to go to the conference regarding location.
Can we pull conference data to see where people are coming from? So if we have New York ones and we're just pulling New York metropolitan people, or whether we're pulling from outside that area as well? Because I think if our New York ones only appeal to our New York metropolitan area people, and then we only go DC, I'm also thinking like West Virginia can sometimes be a challenge for people to come from. Out west in Pennsylvania might be a challenge, even though we have it this year in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's a good point, Will. I think one of the other impacts that having NASPA in 2013 in New York City did was recreate a student affairs community in New York City, because there hadn't been a large, vibrant student affairs world here. And that conference really, I think mostly CUNY, it sort of pulled CUNY folks together and then got us with our Columbia, Pace, NYU, everybody. And so if there's a city that maybe we're feeling like that city's just not very involved in NASPA, and is there a way to get them engaged, maybe we go there.
Yeah, Berg model, that we use.
I second what Will just said, because I feel the same thing happened in the DC area after we had the DC conference. We've been able to really connect with some of our counterparts there that haven't been part of things too much before, and I like the idea of taking a look at that too.
Okay. Okay. So the way that we've normally done this, again, it could change every year. I know some regions, the board chooses the location, or, it's subject to a vote or something. In other regions, the conference chair or chairs decide it, again, in consultation with the board. We've always been kind of a board that has given that final endorsement to the conference chair in conjunction with the RD, who then brings narrows it down and brings like 1 or 2 suggestions to the board. So let me suggest that we do that. What I would like to do is send out a poll. I'm also going to send out these comments to everybody. I'll copy and paste them, and just so people can see sort of the ideas that folks have thrown around and pros and cons, and ask people to share their thoughts, and then I will give that to Amy and ask you, Amy, to work with Zach and Felipe to pretty quickly bring to us maybe your top 2 or 3 suggestions, and then we can talk about that and maybe have that be one of our orders of business in March. Does that for people? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody. That was good. That was really helpful. So kind of following on the heels of that is the careers in student affairs, date, and locations. Michelle, are you on the call?
I am.
Great. Do you want to facilitate this discussion for us?
Sure. So I also, happy Valentine's Day, first off, to all the ones you love.
Happy Valentine's Day. Go Red. I shot you all a note saying that the conference was going to take place on the 6th, and that was going to happen at FIT and at Morgan State. But unfortunately, after further conversations with the powers that be at FIT, unbeknownst to me, several of our large locations are going to be offline, which hasn't been shared with the entire community. So FIT had to pull out. But Amy and her team has so graciously pseudo-agreed to host the conference at their institution. I've been in conversations with folks from Albany. They are very eager to have the conference there. They are willing to also put together a proposal outlining how this will benefit their institution and folks in that particular area. I'm somewhat familiar with Albany, but all the surrounding schools I'm not familiar with. But what I gathered is that Albany is central to the schools that are upstate New York. And so it may or may not work, but I know Kathy wanted to explore other institutions that are further north in New York. So right now we have October 6th as a date. We also have a new co-chair, Christina. I'm not gonna butcher her last name, but she comes to us from Brooklyn College. And so she will be my counterpart. my new BFF moving forward through this process. And we're trying to figure out some dates to meet up because we are both local. So it's to our benefit to have conversations early. So that's where we are. We have 2 locations. We're looking for a third. Albany is eager, but we didn't solidify anything with Albany just yet. Kathy wanted to wait until we all spoke on the phone.
Yeah, my thought with Albany, and Will, I know you just brought that up as a possibility for the regional conference, but just that we're really then kind of hugging the coast almost, and all the folks that are on the west side of the region will all have to travel. So from even where I am in sort of western New York, it's minimum 4 hour drive to any of those places. And so if there was a spot that was more western located for this, that would be great. I do realize we're not talking about the same levels of attendance, and so and that you need a host. I mean, the key is if you can find a host that's interested, then that's half the battle. So if it looks like Albany is eager, then maybe that's what we do. But this is another area where I would look at Rochester or Buffalo School to see if there's interest. And Nazareth was interested a couple of years ago, and I think was not able to do it last year, but might be interested again. Nazareth is in Rochester. Greg Sammons and I said, we should do it in Alfred, and the 2 of us could host. And of course, we know that in Alfred, we would get Alfred people and maybe the 5 colleges with us. But, there's also, again, Erie and some other places that we have never been to as far as I know. So, Michelle, I guess I would just do the same thing as ask you and your new co-chair to really start to brainstorm and then bring us a recommendation. But honestly, if it looks like Albany is it, then as far as I'm concerned, we need to go with the willing partners. Anybody have other thoughts?
Albany's though accessible, right? I mean, it does provide trains and other places easier to get to. I mean, I remember when I worked in New York, it was a lot easier to get to Albany than maybe getting all the way to Nazareth. But but that's just a thought. This is Francisco.
Well, it would be for the people in New York, but for the people in the western part of the state, it's equally hard to get everywhere.
Oh, right. No, you're right.
So that's the thing, is just we are really accommodating to the folks who are in the eastern part of the region, but for the folks in the western part of the region, we need to be thinking about those folks too.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so I will explore, is it fair that between now and the national conference to kind of come up with some recommendations to see where we are? Because I think ideal when we had a conference call a couple of months ago, that we want the plan was to really start having conversations at the national, to kind of start there and build along the way.
Yeah, I think we have plenty of time, Michelle.
Okay.
Can I recommend, even for Amy and for Michelle, that not 3, but just 2 options? Because I think the more options we give people, it's just going to be harder to take a vote. You just give 2 alternatives, it's easier than 3. But that's just my personal suggestion, because I think we give too many options. You get a vote, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, divides it up. You're never going to get 100%. I think 2 solid options of offers, schools that are willing to do this and support us, I think that's what we should do.
You mean in terms of the board vote?
Yeah, when we get to a board vote, I think 2 solid options that have been researched well. I think I think too many options just makes it harder to vote. But that's just a thought.
And then just to add to this piece, I was just kind of playing around on our webpage. And so if I was to, I can explain what the Careers and Student Affairs Conference, and there's Student Affairs month, but there really isn't anything that kind of talks about what the breadth of this conference is, outside of looking at the marketing material of what we did last year. So I'm wondering if there's a way, as we're building towards the next conference, that we can kind of add that information to our site.
Good point.
Yeah. All right. I do like the idea, both for careers and then for the national, to just bring perhaps 2 choices to the board. Otherwise, yeah, it totally does get a little bit out of control. Thea on the chat had offered to do a Facebook poll about the national, and maybe we could do maybe we could all reach out to maybe this is something the state coordinators could do as well, as just to reach out within your states and see if there's folks who are willing to host the careers conference. I mean, we're not talking it's not nothing, but it's not a regional conference either. So I think it's a manageable thing to do. We're talking perhaps 75 people tops on some of these campuses. So Gina, for whatever reason, you're showing your screen now, just FYI. Okay. Okay, well, so Michelle will then wait to hear from you at the
board meeting. Yep.
The board meeting.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on, some national conference items. Kelly, you're here, and you've been here all along. So you had sent something about the foundation, the baskets. Do you want to just give your report? I printed it out, but why don't you go ahead and share, if you would, please.
Okay. So at the national conference, we are doing a silent auction. The foundation's doing a silent auction. And so we'd like to create a basket for the NASPA Region 2 to have at the auction. Our hope is to have lots of fun regional things that people could use online, like gift certificates, things that are really distinct to our area, but that are very travel friendly. So we don't want to give people a basket that's filled with stuff that they can't take home or is just filled with too many heavy things that they won't have an opportunity to pack it, but still something that's really exciting and interesting that they put a bid in for. So I have a Google Doc that I will send out to everybody. So if you have items, I know Amy already purchased something from Philadelphia. Amy, do you want to talk about what you purchased to give people an idea?
Sure. DeBruno's is a Philly place. It's one of the first cheese shops, and you can order online like gourmet cheese and oils. So we got a gift card from that, and they have a book called the DeBruno's House of Cheese. They sell it in Anthropologie and places. So for foodies, I thought it would be a good and light thing to take home. So that's what we're going to contribute.
So if other people have gift certificate ideas or book ideas, other ideas would be photographs, paintings, sports memorabilia from your area. We're asking, although school gear is cool, we're not sure people are going to bid on stuff that is your school gear. So we're asking, unless it's something really, really exceptional and cool, to kind of look at other ideas. So if you could fill out the Google Doc, and then all of the items we'll collect either at our business meeting on that Sunday at NASPA, or if you could drop it off at the suite at NASPA, and we'll put together the basket for Monday. The auction will be on Monday, all day Monday, and then I think till 2 p.m. on Tuesday. So I encourage you to go and check out all of the bids or all of the baskets and bid on them. We're also looking to have a registration to our regional conference. We'll have to talk about the details with that, Kathy, but we'd like to also bid off a conference registration.
Okay, yeah, I think we've done that every year, so it's just a matter of working with Danny and Nathan to kind of, handle that piece of it and get a code for the winner.
Okay.
Kelly, were you thinking about sending the Google Doc broader than just the advisory board, or were you thinking of just the advisory board contributing?
I was just going to do it to the advisory board, but I can do it broader if you think that's better.
I don't know. I think it could be cool to send out to a broader group of folks. It's everybody's region, not just ours, and so I think, I don't know, wouldn't be a bad idea to send it out to others. But if I'm understanding it correctly, people are bidding on one basket, so we also don't want a basket that's so huge that somebody can't take it home. So I don't know.
Why don't I'll start with the board members, see what we get. And if we don't have something that's robust and worthy of bidding on, then we'll send it out broader.
Okay, that sounds great.
You know what we could do? Sorry, this is Jody. You know what you could do, though? If you got a really cool basket and there was a lot of stuff, part of the bid could be that we would ship it home for you.
That is a good idea.
Good idea.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
I'm seeing all these food things come in, and now I'm getting super hungry. But the idea of foods from the region, total A+ idea as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That sounds great. And Yeah, so Kelly, maybe we'll start with the board and then see if we need more.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind, then if either I can send out the poll on your behalf, because I also want to combine it with the regional conference idea poll, just so we're not flooding all of you with loads of emails. So either if you send me well, actually I've got the Google Doc here. So if you don't mind, Kelly, do you want me to just combine it with the other kind of action items from this call?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, I'll do that then. Required meetings. Let's see here. So just a reminder, everyone who's going to be in San Antonio, you need to be at the Region 2 board meeting. That's Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. The location has actually been determined, and it's on the attachment that I think the latest attachment that Tiffany has sent out. I think it's with the one that I sent with the meeting notice. Let's see, everyone's required to attend the Region 2 business meeting. Some of you will have speaking roles, and I'll go over that in a minute. And then the Region 2 reception is the other sort of command performance for everyone, please. I will have some grad students there at the door, roping people in and making them feel welcome. But if you have people who need a job to do, it'd be nice to station them near the door and just kind of welcome people into the regional receptions. I was hoping to get some ideas for the Region 2 reception. I'm not the greatest party planner in the world, so really as far as I've planned, it's just food, drink, and people hanging out and having fun together. I don't have any type of program plan, and I'm wondering if there were some wonderful ideas from Will and Jody last year. We even had this idea of doing like a competition, like virtual competition against the other regions. I think that sort of fell flat, unfortunately, with the other regional directors. But does anybody have any ideas about how to spice up the Region 2 reception, or should we just say, come have fun, mingle, chat, and that's our reception?
One of the things that we talked about at the strategic initiatives meeting was doing some sort of assessment for especially newer professionals to ask them what they're looking for as far as support from Region 2. So we were going to create like a sheet with some QR codes from websites and link them to a quick assessment for them to do. And then I think we also talked about doing like table topic conversations, like just have a bowl of questions that people can pull out. Got the idea from the Rutgers conference that they did. I think it's a careers I don't remember what it was. There's so many conferences there that the folks there did.
Okay. Yeah, those are good ideas. So the strategic initiatives group was going to do this, or that's just an idea that one of us should do?
I think I was going to lead that.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Kathy, this is Sherry. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I thought might be kind of cool is maybe to do a year in review. Whether that's either like a slideshow or, a brief like audio, like, someone just saying some really cool things that have happened within the region over the past year, that might make members feel a little bit more connected.
Okay. Some of that is going to happen at the business meeting. That's really, the business meeting we have not handled as kind of a Robert's Rules of Order, a real formal thing. It's been a little bit more lively, and then in recent years we've also done some volunteer recognition and things like that. We, in terms of a slideshow, I would love to commit to doing something like that. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to pull that together in time. So if someone else wants to volunteer, that would be amazing, but it's not something that I will take the lead on right now.
Sure.
I do think there's also, we've had varied success in previous years in kind of having a speaker. So I don't know, sometimes it's worked, but sometimes people just ignore the speaker and they just want to chat. So I don't know.
So maybe if there's like
the room, the way the room's laid out, like there have been times when we've had all these like plans to do facilitated conversations, or like Deb Moriarty has tried to do volunteer recognition at the reception, but it's just been too loud, and I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm totally useless for this conversation right now. Because we just don't know until we see what the room layout is and all that, like sort of what format would work.
And so, Kathy, I would echo that. I remember a couple of those receptions, and anything formal is really challenging.
I wonder if we take a more casual approach, and I think we might have talked about wearing buttons of some kind, like Ask Me, and so it's kind of to let people know who's on the board, how to get involved, having kind of volunteer, how to sign up to volunteer with the board and kind of get on the volunteer. Oh, there, I see it.
Oh, sweet. Everyone see what Nathan's holding up? Those of you who have those are, Tiffany created those and they've just gotten shipped to NASPA, so they look great.
So maybe it's all of us kind of taking opportunities to mix and mingle, collect business cards, and then I have a running list of people who have raised their hand with notes and opportunities, because with our strategic initiatives, we have lots of room for people to get involved. And so it's more casual, but we're still helping people feel welcomed and find a way to get involved.
Okay, great. All right, give it some thought, folks. And, you know, my thought, but this is just because I'm not a great party planner, is to do something, is to not try to over-program the reception and instead just to let people mingle. But I love the idea of tabletop topics. I'm seeing from Sherry too an idea, instead of like a formal program with a speaker, just to do like sort of a one-page newsletter with highlights. Again, I would love to commit to doing something like that. I'm not at all sure I can pull it off, but I can certainly try. And there's a lot to say and a lot we've accomplished, so that's something we could certainly try to do. So give that some thought, and I will also, this was Thea's suggestion via chat, in the email that I send out for action items, I'm going to ask you all to submit questions for table topic conversations, so that will at least get some of those things going. So, so we'll go from there, and as other people have ideas, please send them along. Jody, can you go over the regional suite events, please?
Sure. We have several. Oh, am I still on? My phone just clicked off. I'm sorry.
Jody, I hear you.
Okay, great. We have several things happening in the suites. We have on Tiffany's handout, she has everything that will be that will be listed. We have a regional faculty luncheon, Region 2 Administrators of Color reception, a volunteer reception, and then Kelly, we never confirmed time, but 3 p.m. for the foundation thank you on Monday. Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, perfect. So we'll make sure we get that added to the regional events. So we're pretty full. Kathy and Amy, in the past, we've done something in an evening for kind of the invited friends only into the suite. Which night were you thinking of doing that on? Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday?
Probably not Tuesday. Monday, we have the Region 2 reception, so we don't want to compete with ourselves. So I guess Sunday would be the night to do it, because it looks like there's only one thing that night, or that day.
That's fine. I just want to make sure I had it written down on my schedule. I know that we won't put it on Tiffany's, but I want to make sure that we have it on my schedule. So I'll look up times for you to kind of see when, I'll suggest times that might work for the schedule for it. How's that sound?
Okay.
Just because I want to look at the conference schedule, you know how, with the evening events on that Sunday night.
Yeah, and if it turns out that we don't put it on this and we do just a word of mouth kind of thing, that's okay too.
Yeah, that's kind of what has usually happened for that one particular one, so that it doesn't get a little bit out of control.
Yeah, exactly. I want to get shut down.
Yeah, and then I wanted to just double check with everybody for what the expectations were in the suite. I have for our faculty lunch, I have that it's documented as a luncheon. We will need to figure out catering for that, because that wasn't put in time for our catering orders for places that we needed to cater. you want that as, I can't remember who put that in, I'm sorry. We want that as a lunch from 12 to 1, or do you want it as a coffee from like 2 to 3?
Sherry, that's your call, right? We're talking about the faculty luncheon?
Yeah, that's what I have it listed as, from 12 to 1, but that didn't get put in time to be part of the NASDA catering order, so I will need to figure that out if we want to keep it a luncheon.
Sherry, what do you think? Sherry?
Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna just type, and then I was like, "Hello, you can unmute yourself." So my initial
that, and I'm not on the computer.
I thought previously we'd done it as lunch, and that we might have a little bit of funding for it. But if we are unable to, provide, a lunch, then
it's not a funding. I'm sorry, Sherry, I didn't explain myself. It's not a funding issue. It's we had to have all of our catering requests in by the beginning of January. And so, but when you had asked missed the window for catering.
Oh, okay.
So I just would need to figure out how to cater for lunch individually. So I would it just takes a little more legwork, which is fine. I just want to make sure that's what you want.
Well, I would like to, defer to other folks to find out if, I don't know because I haven't been before, to find out what the attendance is and if it's worth the time and the investment. If it is, I'm happy to do it. But if there's like 3 people showing up and, people are like, well, maybe we shouldn't do this, then I'm very open. I'm just kind of ignorant right now.
Yeah, last year
for lack of a better term.
It was like an evening reception. It was 6 o'clock or so. There wasn't a huge turnout. There were probably, honestly, 4 or 5 people. It was one of the lesser attended events in the suite. And, I don't think it's a bad idea to try again. Certainly, you have to try things sometimes more than once to get the attendance. And Sherry, this would also mean we would also expect that you would be reaching out to faculty in the region to invite them. So it's not, we can't just kind of float it out there and expect people will magically come. There has to be a little bit of promotion from the folks who are asking for these types of things. So,
well, absolutely, Kathy, and I could definitely reach out. Tomorrow, I've got a faculty council conference call. So, I mean, I don't necessarily have to say something tomorrow, but I can definitely reach out to that group. And I know that previously it had been discussed that perhaps with maybe ask me about Region 2 or, faculty of color thing, maybe we might want to combine that, with this particular reception, and I would be receptive to that as well. You all think that would be a good idea?
Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry, it's Jody. I was just thinking. This is kind of out loud, but if we pushed it to a little bit in the afternoon, where you kind of had wine and cheese, and you could have a faculty, it might be simple and it might be easy, and people can kind of come in and out, and then we're not losing a ton of money. I have to be honest with everybody. The catering is very, very expensive at the hotel, and so if we can limit how much we're getting from catering at the hotel versus what we can order and, kind of ship and bring in, it would be easier to do that. So if you wanted, Sherry, I'm looking at the calendar and we don't have anything basically until 5 o'clock on Tuesday. So if you wanted to do something from like 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, you could do that.
Or even just 4 to 5 and have the faculty reception be a wine and cheese reception and merge into the Region 2 Administrators of Color reception. I think that would be okay too, and that way I don't think the 5 o'clock group would say no to wine and cheese either. So I think that to me seems like a really great idea, Jody. Does that work for you, Sherry?
That's a fabulous idea, Kathy. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
well, Sherry, we're going to put you.
Wasn't my idea. No, I think that's terrific.
Okay. So we're going to put you 4 to 5 p.m. and we'll call it Region 2 Faculty Reception.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Jody, can we just go quickly back to the foundation? Thank you. When was that? On Monday from 3 to 4?
Monday from 3 to 4, yeah.
In the suite?
Yes, in the suite.
All right, thank you.
Jody, you're welcome.
Sorry, the faculty is Tuesday, correct?
The faculty, so on Monday, we have in the morning. I'm just going to read you guys everything that we have. You're going to get this, so you don't need to write it down too much. But on Sunday from 1 to 3 is our board meeting.
Yes.
On Sunday afternoon, we also have the conference planning committee will be meeting from 3 to 4, right, Carol? I believe it's 3 to 4. Yeah,
Yes,
3 to
you're
4
right.
p.m.
You're right.
And then on Monday from 8 to 9, we have the VPSA breakfast, and they have their own room reserved and their own catering already reserved. From 3 to 4 p.m., we have the foundation thank you in the regional suite. From 5:15 to 6:45, we have the Region 2 business meeting. And then from 9 to 11 on Monday night, we have the Region 2 reception. And then on Tuesday, from 4 to 5 p.m., we'll have the faculty reception. From 5 to 6 p.m., we'll have the Region 2 Administration of Color reception. And from 6:30 to 7:30, we have the volunteer reception.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And so just to clarify, because each year I think there's a little bit of confusion, and Kathy reminded me to have this conversation of kind of, if this is your area, what are the expectations for you within the suite? We will make sure that we have the food. We will make sure that, and when I say food, candies, chips, sodas, whatever you're planning on drinking there, we'll have it there. But I would need whomever is overseeing that to meet me 30 minutes before the event starts to help set up, and then it would be expected that that group would clean up the suite.
Right.
Because what happened in the past was, if I was having a conversation with somebody else, people would be having trouble getting into the suite, or they were expecting things to be laid out already and that kind of thing. If it's your topic area, you're in charge of helping set up and clean up.
Yeah. And I will have keys. Normally the hotel gives us a whole bunch of keys. I will have those to hand out at the board meeting. So, if you're in charge of an event and you happen to beat Jody there, she's not going to be mad about that. So, and plus, Jody, it's not really on Jody to stay the whole time. It's Jody's responsibility is to get the food and to make sure that everything is where it should be, but it's the host's responsibility to see the event through and then to make sure that the suite is in decent condition afterwards. So I'll have a bunch of keys and be ready to hand them out.
Kathy, the one piece that I'll just share, and obviously the region can do what makes sense. The NASPA Acts committee of the annual conference. So this is the group that coordinated the march to the Capitol last year, has done some other social justice initiatives. They're planning a candlelight vigil for action, I believe is what they ended up deciding with the legislation that's on par in Texas. And that's from 6:30 to 7:30 on Tuesday as well during the volunteer reception. We know the annual conference, everything gets scheduled over everything else. So I don't know if the region needs to change it, but I just wanted to offer that just so y'all know.
All right, thank you.
Do we know who, if they need any more help with anything with the suites or any more volunteers, I can help out.
In the suite, you mean? For that, that's great. And I think we might, and perhaps individuals, if you are hosting something and you're running back and forth, running around and need some assistance, that might be great, Kevin, if people were.
Yeah, I'm willing to help out, whatever, I'll be there.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Oh, and in terms of just how people are going to find the regional suite, because I know that they're not assigned until we pretty much show up, right? Nathan, do you think there'll be a signs near the elevator, or should we have people ask at the front desk, or how should that work?
Sure, my guess is, and I still haven't heard back from Jill, but I know in the past we put them just in the kind of main entrance, and in the Grand Hyatt there's a general area. The only reason I'm not sure what we're planning for this year is I do know it's an open, even though we have pretty much the whole Grand Hyatt, it is an open area. So, for security's sake, we don't necessarily want to put out, the rooms there. So I'm checking with Jill. I know in the past we've also put them in the program book, has been another case. So I'm hoping that I'll find out today, and I'll send you and Tiffany and maybe the notification once I figure out. Like 2 years ago, they actually did give us the rooms. So that's what I checked with Jill to see if that's there. I know she doesn't have confirmations yet for our rooms, and she won't get that till next week, but I know this has to go to print. So I'll see what I can get from Jill.
All right. In the meantime, if you want to invite a constituent group to a reception, there's nothing stopping everybody from going ahead and doing that. You could also just say, hey, email me if you're interested, and I'll contact you as soon as we know the room location or something like that. In the meantime, though, I know Tiffany is ready to go as soon as we find out some instructions about how to let people know where to find the suite. So we're in good shape with that. Okay, anything else with the national conference? Okay. Let's see. Amy, can you walk us through board transitions, please?
Sure. So I have invited almost everyone back to the board or to their new positions, and they've all received kind of a list of things to do, and I'm collecting RSVPs of who's going to be at our board meeting in San Antonio. So we'll do proper introductions, and by the end of this week, if not early next week, I'll be sending out, once I have kind of confirmed who's accepting coming back, so you'll know who has accepted a new position. We do have some brand new people coming to the board, some people in new roles, so I think it's going to be, and some people returning. So I'm excited for that. I will be doing the new board member orientation, similar to Kathy. And Kathy and I talked last year about how to keep building on that. So I will be inviting some of you to present or give feedback. I know Gina and I, as new to the board members last year, talked a lot about orientation. And I know it's tough when you're new, starting in March, and you have until June to kind of officially learn what you should be doing. So I'm going to work to use Zoom for our new members and hopefully get them to feel comfortable. So we'll be working on that. We do have almost everybody that I've heard from so far, except for 1 or 2 people, will be at our board meeting. So it'll be nice to get to know all of those new faces. So Kathy, is there anything else you'd want me to cover, or?
I don't think so. Just a reminder, though, kind of peripheral to that I'll be honoring or just acknowledging at the very least all of the outgoing members at the business meeting. And so along with that, if you have people that you would like honored, I know I sent this out in an email, but this is a very last of the last calls. But if you have a committee or if you have somebody that has assisted you on a program or something and you want a certificate made for them, please get me their name, their home institution, and then what constituent group or committee they worked on for you, so that I can get those made. And by that I mean, so my assistant Mary Therese can get those made. But I'd love to, I want to bring those with me and just offer the chance at the business meeting for folks to recognize their volunteers quickly. I have one last thing, and then just items for members, or items that any of you may have. Just the email that was sent out with this reminder of this meeting, I sent out the proposed agendas for the Region 2 meeting and for the Region 2 business meeting. And some of you I have on the agenda to speak, so please look at those and just make sure that you're ready. If you would like to speak, or if I've missed you, and there's an important point that needs to be covered, please, don't hesitate to let me know. I probably won't finalize these until, a few days beforehand, because I'm sure stuff will fluctuate. But really quickly, for the NASPA or for the Region 2 Advisory Board meeting, we'll do, rather than a few items from all of you, I think probably also because we have a lot of new people at the meeting, we'll just go quick, do a lightning round of each of what we've each been up to, and feel free to pass if there hasn't been much. But rather than, a separate item for membership or budget or conference or whatever, we'll just kind of go around the room and do that. And then Greg is going to do a quick board education session on sponsorship and fundraising, which I think I've asked him to do that in 10 minutes or so, and that would be great. Also, normally at the Region 2 meeting, the advisory board meeting, we generally have people from NASPA National visiting us, so we'll accommodate them when they stop in. We also have a board photograph usually that's taken, so again, we'll stop mid-meeting and get that done when it's time. But otherwise, that's a quick, there's lunch, that 2 hours goes by really fast. The business meeting, those of you that I have on the schedule to present, Will to do a treasurer's report, Terry to do a membership report, Kelly for the foundation. Regional events, I've got Carol, Michelle Van Ness, and then Kirk to talk about specific events at the regional conference and our signature events. Ashley, I know Ashley is not on the call right now, but to announce our award recipients. David and Gina, really, I'd love to have you kind of really dig in a little bit and talk about what's happened with strategic initiatives. I'll be able to project them. At least I hope that I requested a projector. I'll check that with Nathan. But I'd like to project our strategic initiatives and have you both talk about them because you've done an amazing job with that. And then we'll do our transition to the new RD, and then I'm done. Yay! And then it's Amy. So, and then Amy will close the meeting by soliciting any items from members and just kind of do the formal closing. So if any of you are not on the agenda for the business meeting, but you think you should be, please let me know. We've got an hour and a half, so that's plenty of time to, not have to rush. Also at the end, we'll probably do our volunteer recognition where I'll ask any of you who have coordinated a committee and have given me names for certificates if they would like to call any members up to get their certificates. Not everyone obviously comes to the national meeting, so we'll see how that goes. It wasn't like we didn't totally knock it out of the park last year, but it was really nice, and it did allow the people in the room to see just the range of wonderful volunteer activities that we have in the region. So I think we'll probably do that again. I just need to think about how. Any other items that people have that they want to talk about?
Kathy, you're confirmed to have AV in that room.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, Nathan.
Yep. The only other thing for Tiffany and Carol, so the conference committee, decided to do rally towels as the giveaway for the conference. So we have the black on yellow and then the yellow on black. That's the skyline. It's the logo, the skyline for Pittsburgh. So I will have those available for y'all in San Antonio as well.
Okay. And Brian, you're bringing the tablecloth with you, right? Great. And the second tablecloth, I still have to track back who's got it. I know that somewhere that information exists. I just need to track it down and honestly haven't yet. But okay, other items from people? Thank you all for hanging in there on this long call. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all in hopefully sunny, warm San Antonio in less than a month. So we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye.